That's refreshing. All right. Hope people are doing all right this evening. Evening where I am. Who knows what time it is where you are. No particular topic tonight. Hope folks had a good Labor Day weekend if you're in the US. I don't know if any other countries celebrate Labor Day. I think it's US specific. I don't know. I never remember these things. No, Peter, my hair is in fact rapidly losing its color because I haven't had it refreshed in months. So no, I have not colored my hair. I have failed to color my hair, is what you are currently seeing. You have Labor Day in Canada too. Okay, Peter, but is it the same day? Because I know like your Thanksgiving is way off in its own place. So yes, it did, Ms. Wicked Wolf. So I hope everyone is doing well. Reminder, I will try to keep up with the chat as best as I can. However, the only thing that will guarantee that I'm able to get to your question or that I see it is to do it with a super chat, which will also get you a heart from me. I will try and keep up with the chat otherwise, but you know, no promises. No, Ms. Wicked Wolf, I am not. I can't remember the last time I drank enough to actually be tipsy on stream. It's been a while. I think it might have been the first Help Me Pay My Tax Bill stream like 2.5 years ago. It's been a while. I have not, it's been a while since I've done a drunk review. It's been a while since I've had more than a single drink on stream. I don't really do it too much these days. I haven't had a reason, I think, is the thing. It's not that like, oh, I don't drink anymore. Yes, I do. But it's a case of, you know, I feel like I need an occasion. I'm not just going to do it. I think most other places have their equivalent of Labor Day on the 1st of May. Ah, interesting. I'm pretty tired and had a bit of a hard week, but all in all, I can't complain, which I just realized a very German answer to give. And that's always a phrase that always kind of would make me tilt my head. I can't complain. Sure you can. We can all complain. Maybe you've decided nobody wants to hear it, but sure you can. I would super chat, but I'm broke. I understand, Ash. Boy, do I understand. We had some kind of holiday in Taiwan. Sunday was Armed Forces Day, and also we had a typhoon. Oh, well, that's nice. Mother Nature wanted to celebrate. Today's Michael Keaton's 72nd birthday. He looks good for his age. Which song is better, Walking on the Sun or All Star? Yeah, Smash Mouth. All Star is a better song than Walking on the Sun. I was going to say May 1st is a popular labor recognition day around the world. I wasn't sure if that was it or not. Oh, okay. How about you do a stream when you're high? I have gotten buzzed in that fashion once in the last decade about. Basically like somebody had half of a brownie and they're like, do you want the other half? I was like, yeah, screw it, I guess. And it's like, not sure I missed this. It's not awful, but I would not do on stream. Because I don't think it would be entertaining. I think me drinking can be entertaining. At least I hope so. I've done multiple videos while drunk. But that other kind of buzz, I don't think I'd be very fun. I would lose track of my thoughts and I would keep stopping mid-sentence and I wouldn't have control of the volume of my voice. I don't think it'd be a good time. Just came back from a month-long holiday in Tanzania around 2 days ago. Lovely. Hope you had a good time, Mr. Zaki boy. Back with my candle dressed with olive oil and some cinnamon for luck. And a Wisconsin old-fashioned. Now, That first sentence, pirates. Okay, back with my candle dressed with olive oil and some cinnamon for luck. I'm assuming it's the candle that's dressed with olive oil and some cinnamon, because I feel like that sentence could be read that you're back with your candle and it's you who are dressed in some olive oil and a little cinnamon, for luck. Do I have a hooded blanket? No, I do not. I saw on YouTube that in India was Teachers Appreciation Day. Oh, well, good on them. Dharma, I describe myself as a goofy drunk. I just get silly. Your title is quite fitting. I had apple cider mixed with ginger beer. Oh, I have a lovely blueberry apple cider. Thanks for your podcast. I finally bit the bullet and started The Prisoner. It's been on my radar for some time. Well, I hope you enjoy it, Jedi. I know Jesse definitely is. Yes, the candle is dressed with the olive oil. Okay, look, I'm just, some things were open to interpretation. I know it's a little early, but what was your favorite Halloween costume that you ever wore? I have no idea. Probably the Dracula costume when I was a kid. I don't know though. Like I don't have this one costume that time. I don't know. It was a ninja one year. Is that cultural appropriation? It might have been. I don't know. I doubt that's apple cider. It is absolutely apple cider. Made by an apple cider company that makes hard apple cider. Someone once told me to do a show in Collins and they started throwing some bread. I feel like that's a reference that I don't know. I don't drink, but people jokingly tell me that I should get drunk to become less high-strung and weird. That's not how getting drunk works. It might. I mean, alcohol is a depressant, but it's not going to turn you into a different person. It's actually more liable to accentuate the kind of person that you are inherently. Have I tried mead before? Not only have I tried mead, I had an acquaintance. Well, I still have the acquaintance, but she no longer does this, who made mead. And she made amazing mead. And she stopped because it was a side gig for her and she didn't have the time anymore. It's a shame. There's another meadery in Vermont called Artisana, which isn't bad, but I liked her stuff better. She made mead in her garage. It was really good. I've been obsessed with We Are All Pawns. I love that show so much. Oh, thank you, Louise. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see if the strike's still going on when we finish. Maybe for Halloween this year, you could go out as a sexy TikTok influencer. That's my everyday costume. It's flu season. Yeah, every year. Someone threw bread at Smash Mouth once. Harwell threatened to beat the guy up to the all-star instrumental. Wow. Oh, goodness. Homemade mead seems to be the trick I've heard. Yeah, I think I've still got some, but it's the last bottle I'm ever going to get to have. But she had a mulled mead like that in warmed up apple cider, like normal cider. It's so good. Gonna miss it. We've got a friend who brews. I like the idea of mead because I like bees. One of the best recordings of it had someone in the crowd yelling, "Kick his ass, sea bass." Oh, good grief. It reminds me of a line from the Addams Family. From Wednesday. Oh, but sweetheart, where's your costume? This is my costume. I'm a homicidal maniac. They look just like everyone else. Oh, Wednesday. The best mead I ever had was a local blend called Freya's Kiss. Good name, good title. There's unfortunately one of the bigger meaderies in the state. I really don't like their stuff very much. I'm not going to name them because, you know, it's other people's jam and I don't want to badmouth a local business. But like, other than Sticky Paws, which was the one the person I knew who did out of her garage, which is now gone. There's Artisano in the middle of the state. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. And there's another one that I'm not going to name that I like their vibe. I like their energy a lot. I don't love their mead, though. It's a shame. Always support small businesses. I mean, you know, unless it's run by an asshole. Not that the meadery that I'm not naming is. If it was, I might actually name it and say, "Don't buy from them." The owners are assholes, but that's not the case with them. I just don't particularly like the product. Malt cider is so good, so nice and warm. Yeah, oh, yeah. We're getting into the season. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of a heat wave here. Official temperature has been in the 80s, but like with the sun beating down, like it's crept up to 100 and it's goddamn September and it's not okay. It's not okay. Highly recommend putting marshmallow fluff in hot cider to those who like things sweet. That might be a little bit too much for me because I like the tartness of a good cider. Like there's a little sweet. Magner's cider, here's the funny thing about Magner's cider, Pirates. It was the first cider I ever had, so I'm nostalgic for it. I don't super love it, though, now at this point, because I found so much stuff that I like a lot more. I'll agree with that, Carowin. Fluff is very good for hot chocolate. Love your videos. I really value your opinion. Oh, thank you, Bray. I appreciate that. You know, the podcaster I was anxious was mad at me, put out a Q&A with a physicist, and when he got to my questions, he reacted to me like he always has. It's GCU problem child. Fun. Yeah, like, I'll keep saying it. Podcasters, YouTubers, they have no reason to hold a grudge. You have to go way out of your way. And honestly, at that point, if they truly held a grudge, they would block you or ignore you. Would I ever do another AP series aside from Quill and Sword? So for folks who don't know, AP being actual play, so like a D&D campaign. I know Steven has started working on what will be the next campaign we do afterwards, which will be a completely different thing. So technically, yes, I'm already making plans to, because I want to keep working with that same group. I don't know if he's going to change the name of it. He might, because Quill and Sword won't really fit the aesthetic of what he's building for the new thing. But that's getting ahead of things. Supreme Omega! Thank you so very much for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Ever since the 2000s, thoughts on comic writers constantly trying to tear down Batman and divide the Bat family. Rayak's manipulative and paranoid. I mean, there's just way too much emphasis on Batman, and there has been for a long time in DC. It's like they forget they have other characters half the time. So I don't have a problem with the general conceit of tension among the members of the Bat family. That being said, that should be a rarity, not a go-to plot line. I think Batman's paranoia works better when it is focused outside of his inner circle. I think it makes sense that he has a certain amount of paranoia about all the people with superpowers who, if they wanted to, could snap him in half in a heartbeat if they really felt like it. even though some of them are his friends, I think he is the kind of person that it is understandable. He has a certain amount of paranoia, and there's a certain amount of inherent tension, even amongst the friendships. I think he should be on much more solid footings with the Bat family. I mean, part of this is they keep traumatizing members of the Bat family because, I don't know, because Bruce is traumatized, and so they've decided everybody needs to be traumatized, and let's kill Tim Drake's dad, who was supportive, and let's completely mess up Cassandra Cain from top to bottom, and I don't know. They can't seem to come up. I mean, this is true beyond the Bat family. A lot of comics these days really can't seem to come up, at least the from the big two, more original idea than let's traumatize our characters again. The thing is, and this is the inherent problem, they don't see the contradiction in the fact that the moments that readers really remember are often moments that are traumatic for the characters. The death of Gwen Stacy, Batman getting his back broken, the death of Jason Todd, Superman dying. Like, these are traumatic events, and they are memorable events. But part of the reason that they're memorable is because they are the exception, not the rule. If you have birthday cake every single night for dessert, it's not special anymore. It's only special because you have it once a year on your damn birthday. So they recognize, like, ooh, people really take to and remember and talk about the traumatic events. So we'll just do all these traumatic events all the time and everyone will love it. No, they won't, because it's not special anymore. Yeah. And that's a problem. I want to blame the editorial level for that. I really do. But the problem is there are legitimately lots of comic writers who seem to not get this. Tom King. Watching Doctor Who Series 7B at the moment. Clara's working for me, but man, is Rings of Akatan sappy. I know some people really like that one. I'm not going to talk about it. When everyone is super, no one will be. I mean, I don't like to use that line because it's the frickin' villain, and people have, like, tried to offer that as, like, a legitimate point of view. And it's like, there's a reason it's the villain who says that. In the anime about anime I'm watching, the cliffhanger in the episode I just watched is that the original manga artist tried to veto the last episode at the last minute. Should artists be able to do that? I mean, short version, no, not by default. If you've signed off on an adaptation of your work, then you are signing off on relinquishing some control of how it's going to take shape. Now, maybe they want to include you, maybe they don't. And if they do want to include you and you want to be included, that's great. But, you know, assuming that we're not in a Forrest Gump situation where you just flat out got screwed out of your paycheck, assuming that that is not the case and everything is above board and you've been properly compensated for the rights to adapt your work, no. If you're not directly involved in that production, no, you have no business vetoing anything, especially if they're not asking. Has anyone seen the new Toho Godzilla trailer? It looks awesome. It's a remake of the original. I did see that. I feel like they're going back to... They've been going back to the, it's like the very first time Godzilla comes out thing for a while. Like, that's what Shin Godzilla was. I feel like they've been doing that a bit. What do I think of the Fast and Furious series? Believe it or not, I have never seen a Fast and Furious movie all the way through. I've been on a binge of all the Saw movies for the first time. You are on your own on that one. Only one left to go. They get really shut your brain off movies, but they are really great shut your brain off movies, but also surprisingly puzzle boxy. I mean, like, they're movies that I've enjoyed hearing other people talk about. I only ever saw the first one. I'm like, this is okay. I do not need to see the rest. Speaking of being jerked around, Mary Jane's really been put through the ringer. Oh, good grief, yes. The problem with Disney villains is that the older I get, the more I realize they kind of have a point. Depends on the villain. Regardless, if you're going classic Disney villains, they're often more fun. Captain Lunar! Thank you very much for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Marvel's Thor from the comics with the Shakespeare lingo and all is real. How does the world change? I'm not entirely sure I follow the question. I'm sorry, Captain Lunar, you stumped me. I don't understand what you're asking. When I went to see The Little Mermaid, my friend's son saw the most recent Fast and Furious and wasn't impressed. We were like, well, what did you expect? I mean, those do seem like you get what you pay for kind of movies. It made me wonder if that was a creative conceit, if that's how animated adaptations actually work. Like, I find it hard to believe it's the latter given hyper-capitalist Japan. I don't know enough about Japanese culture in general, and I definitely don't know enough about the inner workings of manga, anime, and the crossover between the two. So I will have no opinion on that. I've only seen a Godzilla movie once, and funnily enough, that was one of those. That was at one of those adult birthday parties that your parents take you to with them. At one point, all the kids were gathered in the master bedroom on the queen-size bed and doing random things while Godzilla was on the TV in the background. I didn't really get dragged to those. I was a latchkey kid. I was trusted not to burn down the house. Saw Haunted Mansion. I forgot that came out. Not only am I going to be reviewing Good Omens Season 2, that will be Saturday's video. I just shot it earlier today. Saw Haunted Mansion. The villain's name was Crump. The screenwriter previously wrote the 2016 Ghostbusters, in which the villain was called Rowan. What have I done to her? I'm so sorry, Rowan. Apparently you have a villainous name. I don't know what to tell you. Captain Lunar, back with a clarification. Basically, what if Thor, as he is in the what if Thor, as he is in the comics, was real and acted as a superhero while being a real god? What changes? So, like, in the real world, everything. Like, let's be very serious. If somebody exhibited the powers of Thor in real life and, like, in a demonstrably provable real way, not a trick, not CGI, not an after effect, not an illusion, but really tangible, real, it would change freaking everything. Everybody, basically everybody except certain stripes of still practicing pagans would have a freaking meltdown for one reason or another. Sorry, I'm getting texted. Why am I getting texted? All right, I need to deal with that after. I loved your rant on the Ninja Turtles crushing on April. They gotta stop that. Hey there, Vera. It's my 22nd birthday next Wednesday. Can you wish me a happy birthday? Also, I am finally settling into this whole thing and this whole being in college away from my parents thing. Well, Annalise, happy birthday, and I wish you the best of luck in college. May your college career be more successful than mine was. Did you ever watch Jurassic World Dominion? I did not. Louise, I have not seen that one. With all the discussion over the years of being hot for monsters, even if it's just one class, like vampires, what kind of monster have you ever found attractive? I mean, top of that list is Tim Curry in Legend as Darkness. And yes, I think he counts as a monster. He's like, in the universe, he's like 8 or 9 feet tall, and he's got cloven hooves and massive horns. He's a monster. But if we're going like for broader types, I don't know. I just kind of dig fawns, honestly. Yeah, I'm here for fawns. One thing about living in Santa Clara, I never could stomach all the damn vampires. Yeah, Lost Boys reference. I know that one. My favorite part of Good Omens 2 was Crowley drunk on laudanum. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Do I sound like a goat? Wait, what was college like for you? Now I'm concerned. I didn't finish, Annalise. And it had nothing to do with the college experience. It had to do with me falling off my meds and having a personal life meltdown and not going to class. So the reason I didn't finish college had nothing to do with college and everything to do with me. Having seen some of Quill and Sword, I need to catch up. Your answer of Fawn is especially amusing to me. Coincidental, I promise. What's the most overrated comedy you've ever watched? I don't know. Literally everything Judd Apatow ever directed. What TTRPGs have you ever played or at least caught your eye, tickled your fancy outside of that one big one? I have played Call of Cthulhu. I've played the more recent Star Wars TTRPG since Disney took over. Because it was an older one. I never played that, but they redid it. I've played a Transformers TTRPG. That was interesting. Those are the main ones that I think I've done. And the rest of it's been, the big one. Is Darkness from Legend Daddy? That's your own call if you believe that to be so. I didn't finish college because I struggled and lost confidence. Trying again in my 40s, and it's going much better. I'm very glad to hear that, Pirates. Let's see. Is there an episode of The Prisoner you're especially excited to see Jesse's reaction to? I mean, I'm going to be damn curious to see what the hell she makes of the finale. I'll tell you that one for free. And not just for like the reason that everyone has fought over for the last 60 years or so. Even stuff before that, I'm going to be very curious to see her reaction and thoughts about. So, we'll see. Let me see here. YouTube recently put up Zoolander for free, and yeesh, some lines and scenes there have aged like milk. I mean, comedy ages the worst, I think, of any genres, kind of by its nature. Not all comedies, but broadly speaking as a genre, it tends to age badly. The ADHD, Doctor Who, and the fact that I may or may not be bisexual, either that or I have a bad case of straight not blind, is what drew me to your channel. Well, I'm very glad to have you here, Annalise. I greatly appreciate that. Love your top. Never seen it all before. Oh! Let's see if we can actually get it on camera and enjoy the view. Has Dumb and Dumber aged well? I don't know. I'm not going to rewatch it to find out. Not unless somebody pays me. Center for Ants is still brilliant, though. See, here's the joke that I like from Zoolander. Is when he asks David Duchovny, but why male models? And David Duchovny gives this whole explanation, and you do what you're told and you don't think, and then Zoolander's still looking at him. But why male models? And apparently that wasn't even scripted. Stiller forgot his next line, so he just repeated it. Even bad comedies can have good jokes somewhere in there. When... Hold on, what? When me and came over, I can't follow this question. Okay, I'm not sure I followed that. 255. Dumb and Dumber 2 exists, believe it or not. I'm aware. Discord, yes. Thank you, Carowin. With the strikes going on, is watching reaction videos of applicable media supporting the studio. So, Christopher, I actually answered that in text way back before the stream started, but I'll reiterate it here. So here's the thing, and then I'm going to go jump over the Discord, and then Captain Lunar, I will come back and address that super chat. Here's the thing, Christopher. The unions are not asking consumers to alter their viewing habits or behavior in any way, shape, or form. They are not calling for any kind of consumer boycott of any media at all. What they are doing is they have asked influencers who wish to support the strike to refrain from engaging in reaction content specifically. Review is okay, analysis is okay. They're asking influencers to not do reaction content because that very much feeds into the promotional end of things, and it's not critique or review. Now, if you want to make a call that somebody continuing to do that kind of content makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to see it, that's your own call to make. But the unions are not asking you as a viewer and consumer to do that. They have made a request of influencers, which influencers are not bound by. They're not. It is a request. So people have made their own calls. Some people continue to make that sort of content for hopefully for whatever reasons they feel it is justified or makes sense. But that's it. Anyways, so let me pull up the Discord. Oh, we've only got one set of questions, so this shouldn't take too long. In Oppenheimer, a major plot point is Oppenheimer's communist sympathies and how people use them through his career in the 50s. Something I wondered after I saw the film is, could you have made a somewhat sympathetic movie about a guy who had communist sympathies 35 years ago, i.e. before the end of the Cold War, or would you have to omit that part? Oh, they would have glossed over it like hell. They wouldn't have touched it with a 10-foot pole. Or if they did, they would have framed it as a, he was treated as guilty because of associations, and whoops, he made a mistake and he paid for it. They wouldn't frame it like, he was persecuted for his beliefs. They would frame it as, whoops, he made a mistake and it bit him. So that's probably how it would be framed 35 years ago. If they touched it at all, odds are they wouldn't. I don't even think it's a matter of, could somebody have made that? Like, nobody would think to. Not with a major studio release. Not at that time. The anime about making anime that I'm watching, one of the characters is a CG artist who gets frustrated because the company she works for gets known for creating the cars in racing game cutscenes, but she's constantly just creating CG cars. I never know whether to feel sorry for artists who get stuck doing repetitive work because it's profitable for the capitalists above them. On the one hand, I imagine it's kind of soul-destroying for someone who wants to create diverse art. On the other hand, most people do repetitive jobs under capitalism. Like, I imagine our job is at least more stimulating than like being an Olive Garden waiter. So why should I feel bad for the real people in her situation? Do I feel bad for constrained creative people? Short answer, yes, I do. I always will. Like, I feel like it's a very odd way to ask the question, like, why should I feel bad for them? Like, in my mind, you either sympathize with or feel bad for someone's position, or you don't. And like, if you want to examine why you do or don't, that's your prerogative to figure out. So here's the thing that I would tell you to keep in mind, speaking as a creative and having friends, including one who worked in the video game industry, who was very talented and basically just had to spend years just designing cloth textures and like fabric physics. That's all she got to do. Here's the thing. I can understand why you would think, well, it's closer to your passion than like some other mindless job that's completely separate, so it must be better. Not necessarily. Maybe, but not necessarily, and here's why. Because it can grind you down and burn you out on the thing that you love doing. Because if your passion is design and 3D art, and you have to use those skills to make cars day in, day out, week after week, month after month, year after year, and you don't get to do anything else, and it becomes a grind and it grinds you down. It's not just that you've spent an exhausting day at work. You've spent an exhausting day doing something that you would otherwise love. And then when you get home, you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to sit down and work with 3D creation tools to try and do something you actually want, because you're not just burning out on the repetitiveness, you're burning out on the process. You're burning out on the activity. It's really difficult for something that is a core part of something you love to become a daily grind, and for you to still be able to continue to love that thing and continue to love doing it. So yeah, I will always feel bad for creative people put in those positions, because, you know, you can think, well, you know, you're working in the field that you want. Like, are they though? Because I don't think any of them wanted to do that. Just because it's utilizing the skills that they have passion for doesn't mean that they're doing the job that they want to do, or are doing anything that enables that passion in any way. With regard to that same show, something I kind of don't like, but about it is that it depicts a toxic work culture that is apparently common in Japan and pretty bad in the anime industry in particular, without really commenting on it. Like, a couple of times you see staff sleeping in their offices because they're in crunch, and the show's giving no indication that's not a thing workers shouldn't be expected to do. Do you think it's wrong for a work to depict a toxic work culture without condemning it or really ever commenting on it? Not necessarily. It depends on how far afield from the story actually being told addressing those things would be. Because depending on the nature of the story they're actually telling, having those as background details might be the extent to which it makes sense to acknowledge it at all. So, you know, to take... no... I'm trying to avoid citing examples because, like, a live stream isn't really an analytical work, so I really shouldn't. But anyways, like, in general, if a piece of fiction, for instance, hypothetical, imagined piece of fiction, had a character who was effectively a cop and who would routinely kind of fall into a lot of the problems of real life policing, of taking advantage of his position, of intimidation, etc. And if the show depicted it accurately but never properly addressed it as being a bad thing, is that ideal? No, but if that's not the overall main point of the thing, and so long as the show isn't going, this is good actually, then I'm not going to get mad about it. I might get slightly disappointed at a show like what you described not addressing the work culture, but the fact that it's in there at all is something. They're not pretending that it's not the case. And from what you described, they're not going, this is good actually. Those would be the things that I would think are actually a legitimate problem and have actual moral implications. If you depict it as an idealized workplace when it's just not, or if you more accurately depict what's wrong with it but act like it's a good thing, see a certain episode of Doctor Who, Series 11, with an Amazon knockoff, yeah, then you've actually run into a problem. But you're not obligated to give full commentary on everything that is present in your work, because there aren't enough hours in the day. So, there you go. All right, I'm back. I'm back, baby. Captain Lunar, back with the super chat. Thank you so much. Ever heard of Captain Space Defender of Earth trope? The basics is a distilled space opera hero in the mold of Flash Gordon or Buck Rogers, one of my favorite character tropes. I don't think I'd heard that particular name for the trope, but I know the archetype. I know the kind of character. They can be fun. They can be fun. I mean, it's basically Buzz Lightyear when he doesn't realize he's a toy, is that character. I mean, a parody of that character, but still. Supremo Mega! Here we go. Since you watched more of Babylon 5, thoughts on the show overall? Any aspects you like, any aspects you dislike? Do you prefer Sinclair or Sheridan? Oh, I can't really talk about it, because this isn't a review or analysis, so I really don't really have a ton of wiggle room, and I'm trying to avoid, I know I haven't been perfect on this, in terms of avoiding talking about these things on streams, but I am trying to be better about that while the strike is going on. But you know, what I will say is there is a show that I have done a podcast on, and that podcast is not finished. And I think that show is very well constructed. There are many aspects I like that at this point in time I will not name in particular. And I think on balance, I prefer the second lead in the main role to the first, but not by a significantly heavy margin, and possibly simply because I got to spend more time with him. Do I watch unboxing videos? No, I really don't find them interesting at all. Is Holy Terror still my favorite Robert Shearman story? It is. It is. I haven't gotten to too many others of him in the last couple of years, but what are some of your favorite graphic novels if you've read much of them? So some of these I have not reread. So I'm not necessarily going to vouch for how well some of these have aged. But I enjoy Sandman a lot. I like Transmetropolitan a lot, or at least I did when I read it about a decade ago. That's one of the ones I'm afraid to find out has aged badly. For more recent, well, I mean, I love Nimona. And that's even from before the movie. Of the more recent stuff, there's one called Snapdragon that I really like. And there's one called The Prince and the Dressmaker that is beautiful. That graphic novel is amazing. It is so good. It is so good. I missed out the word friends. I was saying we used to pretend that the bedrooms in my house were military bases. We'd pretend the mirrors were computer screens that could lock the other kids out. But if they actually got in, they'd pretend to hack them. Oh, that's cute. That's sweet. BBC has been repeating both I, Claudius and the 1980 Oppenheimer series with Sam Waterston. I imagine the Oppenheimer one's very timely. Somebody asked earlier, have I seen Oppenheimer? Nope, I have not. Don't really plan to be honest. Erica, ooh, geez, very generous. Thank you very, very much, Erica. It's been a while since I've been able to join a live stream, so I need to celebrate with a super chat. Aww. Thank you. Thanks always for the great content. Happy Tuesday. And a very happy Tuesday to you. Do I watch makeup tutorials? Nope. I find them dull. Partly because I know I'm never going to do it. What's the secret of skipping rocks? Can never get the hang of it. Finding the right rock, getting low so that you're closer to being parallel with the water. And from there, it's all in the wrist. Practice. Do I have a vanity? I do, but it's in the attic. You go back to several years old videos on the Vera Wild channel and you can see the thing, but not one that I actually use. Don't worry, we have Oppenheimer at home. Literally, the BBC. Very good. Very good. I still tuck my plush animals in bed. Aw, that's very sweet. Have I seen The Meg, and do I like shark movies? I mean, I like Jaws. I've not seen The Meg. I saw Deep Blue Sea. That was dumb, but it was fun. I don't super love shark movies as a genre. I just like the original Jaws. It's really good. It's just a really good movie. Do you prefer skimming rocks where the aim is distance or skipping them where the aim is how many bounces you get? I tend to focus on skip rather than skim. Although, if you can do it right, you can achieve both. I just really need to get off my chest that I absolutely love your collection of glasses and glasses frame. Oh, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. I haven't gotten any new ones in a little while, but I like what I have. My rock skipping records is 14 skips. I don't think I'll ever do that again, but I've gotten over 10 many times. I don't know what actually my number is because I don't fixate on it, even though I just like being in the moment. It's just nice. It's just nice. As a D&D fan and a few years on several of us here, I must ask, the animated series, yay or nay? I am aware that it exists. I have never seen it. So, I don't know. Do I still have any toys from my childhood? Yeah, a few. Do I think Barbie will do more movies after the success of it? I don't know. I think Warner Brothers will grovel at the feet of the stars, and probably also Greta Gerwig, trying to get them back to do more, but they were not contracted for sequels initially, so whether or not that happens, I have no idea. I have no doubt Warner Brothers and Mattel will want more, especially after the freaking Polly Pocket movie either fails to happen at all or comes out and everyone goes, what the hell is this? I cannot believe they hired Lena Dunham for that. Moving on. Moving on. Eric Guess. Message retracted. Thank you for the super chat all the same. I do still appreciate it just as much. You like superhero stuff, right? Yeah, for the most part. What do you think of my adventures of Superman? I have not seen it, so I have no opinion. Sorry. Am I crazy and or alone in wanting a reboot of the Crow franchise and wanting a new adaptation on screen? I probably not. If you're asking if I'm in that same camp, no, I don't really. The Crow is very much a product of its time, and I don't think it's going to capture. I don't think anything is going to capture the moment as well as the existing movie did. You can have your quibbles about it being more or less true to the original work, but ultimately it just captured the moment so perfectly because they were both of the time. I just don't think you can get that again. The thing with that podcast where I was so anxious for like an hour, then he got to me and said, now it's time for the GCU problem child section, then laughed. See? It's fine. It's relaxed. Don't worry about it to the best of your ability. I understand we can't help what we get anxiety over. Bogey Fan 101. Do you think WB will ever drop Voldemort Woman? I think that if the Harry Potter series adaptations of the books fail to do what WB needs them to do, I think they will let the rights lapse. Especially if it costs so much that they don't even finish all the books, or if they cram several books together into a season to finish it quicker. Any situation like that, they will let the rights lapse, because the movies were a diminishing returns. It is my expectation that the TV show will be diminishing returns at best, and by the time they're done, they're going to be breaking even at best. And I think they will do what they did with Lego, which is go, we ran this for as long as we could. It's kind of gone. It's kind of dead now in terms of returns versus what it costs. We'll let it go back to the original author. What I'll be very curious about is whether or not any other studio would be willing to touch it or not. That would be very curious to me, because there's a bunch that never would. Disney would not touch it with a 10-foot pole, just because of how radioactive the creator is at this point. I think most major studios probably wouldn't at this point. And most of the smaller ones who either agree with Rowling, don't care, or believe the profit is worth the hassle, probably can't offer her as much money as she's going to want. So I do think overall the property is in a downward spiral. I think they're going to do what's going to happen. This is my expectation, and I could be wrong, but my expectation is they will do a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. It will not sell nearly as well, because it will not be a significant improvement over the first one. And the first one sold very well on the back of being a genuinely good, so far as I'm aware, exploration of that world with modern tech that just didn't exist otherwise. But now we have it, and just doing it again isn't going to get the same returns, but it's going to cost just as much, if not more. So that's going to make less. And I expect that every season of a Harry Potter TV show is going to get less and less and less and less numbers year over year. It'll do gangbusters season 1. That might hope for season 2, and it's going to start dropping after that. And I think at the end of all that, with a sequel video game out that isn't doing as well, and watching the numbers drop, and like, we won't know if the numbers drop on the TV series unless WB publishes that, and generally they don't. They guard their streaming numbers. That's one of the many things that the unions are fighting over, because they hide their data, which makes it very easy for them to lie about how much people are owed, because they won't tell you what your viewing numbers are. Like, imagine if, because I have analytics on YouTube, imagine if I knew how much YouTube said I made and how much they were willing to pay me every year, but I wasn't allowed to see what my view count was. If I wasn't allowed to see how many views the video got, that'd be messed up, because I'd have to take their word that it was the amount I got paid. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was more. I don't know. I can't tell. But anyway, that turned into a tangent. Eric, guess, have you ever read anything by Tanith Lee? I have not. The name does not ring an immediate bell. British fiction writer. Excuse me. Knight's Master, The Birthgrave, Death's Master, Delirium's Mistress, Delusion's Master, Silver Medal Lover. I think Red as Blood. I think I might have shelved some of her books back when I worked at a Barnes & Noble. I think that's the only reason I kind of recognize some of these titles. But no, I'm not familiar, and I have not read her. It's hard to watch The Crow knowing what happened to Brandon Lee. I mean, it adds a certain poignancy to it. Like, when I watch that movie, the bit that gets me is when he gets injured. It's in the church, and he's hiding behind a pew, and the cop, Ernie Hudson, comes up to him, when he's hurt, and he says, "I thought you were invincible." And Brandon Lee goes, "I was." I don't know, something about that moment with the context of what goes on and what happened in real life. That one hits me like a freight train every damn time. With how desperate studios are to squeeze pennies from a stone, to the point that I Am Legend 2 is coming up. Oh, yeah, I saw that. We'll see if it actually moves forward or not. Remaking The Crow kind of feels as unnecessary as remaking RoboCop, unless they can do something new with it. See, the thing is, as bad as the RoboCop remake was, I think there was a reason to try, at least in theory, because the original RoboCop was addressing a lot of very specific stuff of the time, and some of that stuff remains the case, but also a lot of new stuff has come into play, especially in terms of technology, with drones and individual rights and privacy. And you could have actually done a remake of RoboCop to address the more recent concerns, and the end result was very unnecessary. I don't think the concept was necessarily doomed, though. If you've seen them, any thoughts on Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea? Love them both. Secret of Kells is my favorite movie from that studio. Song of the Sea is also very good. Everything they've made is good. You may have a calling as a therapist. You have very good insight and offer sage comments. Oh, thank you, homebody. I would be a crap therapist because I'd get my notes screwed up and I'd forget things from session to session, but I appreciate the sentiment. Supremo Mega. Do you feel this exciting and Hollywood became franchise-driven and IP-driven, all about the blockbusters? No, because those are kinds of two separate issues. Jaws and Star Wars are kind of responsible for kicking off the blockbuster era, where we do these big spectacle films. That's what Hollywood is. That's what we do now. Franchises and IP taking over everything, that kind of happened later. And for a long time, Star Wars was a fluke. For a long time, the franchise was the star. There were multiple Terminator movies, but really you were just going to see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Yeah, there were multiple Rocky and Rambo movies where you're going to see a Sylvester Stallone movie, a Tom Cruise movie. The franchise-driven nature of just the property itself, that didn't really start solidifying into the shape that it currently is until well into the 2000s. That's not the fault of Jaws and Star Wars, although they did kick open the door for the blockbuster era. The summer blockbuster in particular. Wouldn't be surprised if Rolling Star is trying to start her own studio. She's done weird stuff with her money. I mean, she kind of does. She has her own production company that handles the TV adaptations of her mystery books that nobody seems to edit. So she has a production company. That's not the same as having a studio in the sense of how Warner Brothers has a studio. She didn't have those resources. By the way, another podcast writer support to the Q&A. I sent in so many questions, they decided to do a whole episode responding to me. I believe it. You do ask interesting questions. You absolutely do. So no shade there. If the Harry Potter show does happen, hopefully not, it will. It'll play right into the garbage IP TV model where fan service is where the series starts and ends. Which is why I expect interest is going to drop off heavily after the second season at best, and possibly just after the first, because we know these stories. We've read them. And we've seen them. The thing to remember about Game of Thrones, forgetting how badly it ended for a second, most people hadn't read those books. So the stories for a huge swath of the audience, even though they could have read them, the first 5 books anyways, at any point, those were new. Harry Potter isn't new. And not only is it not new in the sense of people have been able to read the books and the books have been super insanely popular for a very long time, There's also been a super insanely popular adaptation already. We all know this story. Like, really? Really? What is there to do? I really do very sincerely believe that the only reason it's happening is because they do not know what else to do with the property, and it's not yet unprofitable, so they had to figure out something. Favorite thing not Doctor Who, starring a Doctor Who actor or an actor that played a companion you like. And if it's the Air's own solution, you can keep quiet. You don't have to admit it. Honestly, probably right now, Good Omens, which now gets to claim multiple Doctor Who, like actual Doctor actors in it after the second season. That's going to be my answer for now. I'm not going to call that definitive. But yeah, we'll go with that for now. I really need to see With Nail and I've needed to see that for a while. I gotta watch that at some point. Anyone else think Constantine 2 is just dead in the water and WB doesn't want to admit it? Well, I mean, right now they can't do anything with it because the writer and the actors are on strike. But I don't think they will admit it for as long as Keanu Reeves continues to say he would be up for doing it, because he is such a beloved figure that they will keep that door open and hope to get there. I'm going to have to wrap it up soon. Let me see if I can grab a few more of these questions. Next month sees the release of Magic the Gathering's Doctor Who cards. Will you take a look at them at all? Nope. No intention. Because virtually everything that's going to be on there, I'm going to be like, what is that? Like, I used to play Magic the Gathering, but I played Magic the Gathering like 20 years ago. And every time I like look at a card now that's come out in the last 5 years, it's like got all these effects on it. I'm like, I don't know what any of that means. I don't know what any of that does. So no, I don't plan to. I was a member of your community back when I was younger. I don't know if you remember, my name back then was TV and Sin. Just pop in and say, hey, Skipper. Yes, I do remember you. I remember you. Thanks for stopping in. Hey to you too. Did Jaws make you too scared to go in the water? Nope. Made me feel amazing the day it dropped. I get that. There are the Relatively Geeky podcast. I don't reply to everything that they do, but their short box showcase series, which is coming to an end, unfortunately, but they have noted more than a few times when they've done the feedback section that. And now let's get to Vera's feedback. She's the unofficial third member of the podcast, so I get it. All right, yes, I will hype Carowin. Just give me one quick moment here. Have you ever seen the early 2000s Barbie movies? Nope. Fair enough. There's now double-sided cards and stick. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to try and figure that out. Bye. Have a good night, everyone in the chat as well. You too, Jen. Don't feel you need to hold back on what you think of Adric. I said what I thought of Adric. Okay. So, tomorrow I will be streaming. It'll be more on Twitch. It'll be more Octopath Traveler. It is going to be a short stream because I have stuff going on in the afternoon that I am going to have to end the stream early in order to do. So be aware of that. Also tomorrow on the main channel, I will have a video out talking about Shurigatwa's Coming Out, which happened in Elle Magazine recently. So that'll be tomorrow. Friday, more streaming on Twitch. I will have a video out about the game Potion Craft at some point this week. And Saturday will be a video on Good Omens Season 2. And that'll be on the main channel. So that is what is coming up. And I hope everybody has a great evening, a great rest of the week. And I will see you on whichever of those things you decide to attend. So thank you very much. And please remember that you are beautiful. You are valued. And you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!